Tonight we feature coverage of the South's two big summer festivals. Good evening. Administration staff at hospitals throughout the South spent the day preparing for the hospital workers' strike, which starts at midnight. Volunteers will be used to staff most medical wards, and Kathy Graham reports the authorities are pleased with the response they've had.
Authorities at Kew Hospital in Invercargill have warned nurses who turn up for work tomorrow they'll be suspended if they refuse to do other than their normal duties. They're also threatening to discipline nurses who joined the union after notice of strike action was given. In both provinces there's been a good response from volunteers. Some of them turned up at Dunedin Public today to familiarise themselves with the wards and get some idea of what will be expected of them tomorrow. 160 volunteers will replace Dunedin Public nurses, but both here and at Kew, nurses will staff intensive care, accident and emergency and the delivery suites. Hospital doctors at Dunedin met today to talk about how they would cope.
The doctors will have to work some very long hours in very difficult circumstances, and nobody likes this sort of thing happening in the health service.
To ease their burden, the hospitals asked people not to visit tomorrow, except children or the seriously ill, or to phone, and to use their GPs for everything except dire emergencies. Cherry Farm now has 170 volunteers, and authorities say they'll manage with some difficulty.
BHP has cleared one more hurdle on its way towards establishing a big gold mine at Macraes Flat near Palmerston. Waihimo County today gave the company the green light, providing it meets certain conditions. However, as Macraes discovered, BHP is facing a new obstacle, a suggested royalty on gold.
BHP still has some way to go before it gets final approval to establish a gold mine at Macraes Flat, but it hopes construction can begin in the second half of the year, with gold production beginning about 8 months later. BHP's operations manager in Dunedin, Ted Miller, is concerned about the effect on the mine's profitability if the company has to pay a 5% royalty on all the gold it recovers.
We would have to do something differently to be quite satisfied that the Macraes project was worth proceeding with at this time, in the face of a 5% gross royalty.
He believes a royalty impacts unfairly on a mine of low-grade ore, like the one planned at Macraes, because it works on a slender profit margin. He says the company will be opposing the royalty when it meets Energy Minister David Butcher early next month.
Sacked Queenstown District Lakes Council employee Richard Vallely will face 8 more charges relating to $125,000 of missing council funds. That came out today at his second appearance in the Queenstown District Court. Richard Vallely first appeared in Queenstown District Court 10 days ago, charged with failing to account for a contractor's bond of $7,500. He'd returned voluntarily from Australia, where he went in December after being asked to explain the bond's disappearance. Today, the court was told 8 further charges would be laid, and he was remanded again on bail until March the 6th. What may be the biggest brown trout in the world has been mounted at the northern entrance to Gore. It weighs 1 tonne and is more than 9 metres from nose to tail. Mark Price took a look at Gore's newest landmark.
Even Gore's doubters are coming round, it said. There's growing admiration for the craftsmen who've worked long and hard to produce a brown trout of fiberglass that so closely resembles the real thing, size apart that is. The statue had its first public viewing when it was moved across the Mataura River to its final resting place. It's been built at a cost of $50,000 to put Gore on the map as the brown trout fishing capital of the world. It may even get a mention in the Guinness Book of Records. Bob Jones, with fly rod in hand, will officially unveil the statue next weekend. It's currently under 24-hour guard.
Very impressive. Now to the festival coverage we promised. Big annual summer festivals got underway in Dunedin and Invercargill at the weekend, with both attracting huge public support. Among those enjoying the entertainment in Invercargill was Peter Cruikshank.
A heavy downpour coinciding with the start of the Saturday morning parade had spectators searching out the dry spots, and the La Toya Guards junior marching team making the most of a novel extra. The Historic Places Trust, with its elderly phone box, was one of about 50 organisations to enter the parade. The festival queen will be announced at the end of the week, but Alf's Imperial Army, inspired no doubt by the Wizard, has already fought its mock battle and gone home. While the pace of the parade through town may have been rather leisurely, it was a lot different out at Teretonga for the Southland Sports Car Club meeting.
First place. And car number 65.
The damp circuit proved a major test for the Mini 7s before Timaru driver Peter Black emerged from the pack to win the first race of an entertaining day. The Gala Street Reserve proved an ideal location for, you guessed it, a gala day, with food and the community stalls all part of the day. And that old theory about dogs and their owners seemed to be proved right again. For the younger ones, the highlight came on Sunday, when not even another tropical lake shower could dampen enthusiasm for the teddy bears picnic. Some well-loved and well-worn cuddly companions were given their day out in this beautiful setting of Queen's Park. The big support for the weekend events seemed to bode well for the remainder of the week-long festival.
And Dunedin's festival week got off to a bright start, with good weather attracting very large crowds to the main weekend activities. Saturday's action was centred around the Octagon, while yesterday it was the south end of town that drew the crowds. Jim Mora was among them.
There were tens of thousands of people in the Octagon on Saturday for the street carnival which opened Festival Week. Some were a bit nervous. The contestants for Festival Queen were all interviewed for the crowd before Sir Clifford Skeggs made the big announcement.
The 1989 Festival Queen is Wendy Doherty, sponsored by
I've actually haven't seen a lot around Dunedin myself, all the activities that go on in Festival Week, so it's going to be great fun.
Sir Cliff earned his money at the start of the vintage car run to Brighton, when he had to work hard to crank up a 1900 Wolseley. The lovely old veterans of the road made their usual splendid sight, and Olympic champion Paul MacDonald flagged them away on their annual run to the sea. Paul himself was obviously enjoying day one of the festival.
Well, spirit speaks for itself, doesn't it? You just have to look around, look at the cars, look at the people, sort of feel something in the atmosphere that you could almost slice off and take home a chunk of.
Can you see Auckland staging anything like this?
No.
The street day was again highly popular. There's a lot to see, whether you're there for fun or there for Jesus, or both. Sunday's organ prom provided an alternative to the crowds and the noise. From dawn to dusk, performers like Timaru's John Hargraves put the town hall pipes through their paces. Another refuge from the hustle on the streets was inside St Paul's Cathedral. The 22nd Ecumenical Festival of Flowers and Praise was prepared with elaborate care, and the result was floral architecture which delighted many visitors. The Southern Festival of Speed on the Oval Street Circuit pulled huge crowds, attracted by millions of dollars worth of racing machinery. Cars and drivers came from throughout New Zealand and from abroad for the street racing, and the biggest name in attendance was Toyota tamer Chris Amon.
You raced here in '62. Must bring back a few memories here today.
It certainly does. I've got to say the weather's a lot better today than last time. It was a very wet day, and I finished up against a power pole, I think, but...
It's a fast circuit, and lots of races were well over the ton on the long straights. Among the day's highlights, Noel McCutcheon from Dunedin clearing out from the bunch in the first motorbike race on his 1964 Norton Atlas. There were no Japanese rice burners here. It was the best of British against the pride of Europe. There was more close racing between the racing sports cars and the single-seater track machines. Some of these machines are ex-Formula One, and they showed their breeding as well as their classic lines through the tight corners. Auckland's Dave Sharp seemed to have the legs on the field in his 1969 Brabham BT29, But Queenstown's Jim Bolt showed that when you know how to drive a beautiful old 53 Cooper Bristol, you can keep up with the best of them. So a weekend in which it seemed that nearly everyone was out enjoying themselves, and 2 days which should ensure the success of the 35th Dunedin Festival.
And one of the Dunedin events, the Ecumenical Festival of Flowers in St Paul's Cathedral, provides tonight's temperature backdrop. 3 o'clock it was sunny in Half Moon Bay and 19. Also 19 degrees in Invercargill, and a good high for you tomorrow, sunny day 19. Gore sunny and 23, Balclutha sunny and 20, Balclutha 18 and 18 degrees tomorrow. Palmerston sunny and 20, Oamaru 16. Ranfurly 21, Queenstown 20, Wanaka clear 22, Alexandra the high today of 26 degrees, and Tayana sunny and 23. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.